to get stuck there. You have to take the step forward. And I think the easiest way to move forward is to purchase the gear, or at the very least, decide where you're going to build or create your recording space. And it doesn't have to be a room, it could be a section of your room. But the most important thing is to make sure that it's going to be a dedicated place where you can record your audiobooks, your voiceovers. Meaning, once you have it set up, you don't want to have to touch it. Once you have it tested for sound, you could do the clap test to see if there's any echo in the space. Treat it accordingly, meaning that there are, soft surfaces around you, and then get the gear and then, test it and things like that. But the most important thing, especially for audiobook narration, is sound consistency. So once you have that recording space dialed in, you've got the gear, you've got the sound down, you don't want to have to touch anything, right? The most important thing, I think, first is for you to be comfortable. This is what I tell my mentees all the time. The most important factor in your recording space is for you to be comfortable. So move your chair wherever you're going to sit and record, put that in its place first, and then move everything else to you. So position your monitor from where your chair sits, your microphone from where your chair sits, on and on and on. That way, you are sitting comfortably for every file, every order, every audiobook file. Everything is going to be consistent. The proximity from the mic is going to be the same, right? The walls don't change around you, meaning that you're not closer to this wall in chapter 1, you were further away in chapter 5, right? Those sound, those small little changes in your space can be noticeable. So make sure that your recording space is dialed in first. And the audio gear that you choose doesn't have to be expensive. I've got a couple ideas tagged in my products thing down in the description if you're watching on YouTube, but they don't have to be expensive. You can get your gear secondhand, right? I admittedly started with a Blue Yeti microphone. It doesn't have to be something expensive. Your space, your recording space, is much more important than the microphone or anything else that you choose, equipment-wise. But your recording environment is your number one priority. And then once you have all of that, then what I would do, and what I did, was I started on ACX. Actually, I started with LibriVox volunteering narration first, just as sort of like I hate to call it practice, but that's essentially what it was. I wanted to make sure that I could sustain long form narration, because it is a workout. It's more of a workout than you think it is. Getting the file requirements down, the formatting down, and just to kind of dip my toes in to see if this was something that I wanted to continue to invest my time into, at time and money, right? If this was something that I could do. And once I discovered that I still enjoyed it and everything turned out fine, then I moved to ACX. And as we always say, just a side note, ACX is only one platform. There are tons of different ways or avenues in which you can find audiobook work, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. But I started on ACX because it was the easiest. It's a platform, it's an Amazon platform, and that is where narrators and authors can come together, can find each other essentially, to create audiobooks for Audible. So the way that it's structured, it's pretty easy to use. It's pretty easy to use and navigate. So I started there, but again, there are a bunch of others. And then I branched out to Fiverr and Upwork. And don't underestimate the power of these freelance marketplaces. You can be hired for audiobook work anywhere, just about anywhere, everywhere. It doesn't have to be solely ACX, and I think a lot of people get confused with that. The ACX standard for the file requirements is just sort of what we refer to as audiobook file requirements. It's a certain set of standards that the sample rate has to be at a certain rate, the bit depth has to be at a certain depth. there are certain standards that you have to adhere to, but it doesn't mean that they can only go to ACX. If you can get to those standards for your files, you can create audiobooks anywhere and then send the files to your client, and then they upload them to whatever audiobook distributor they want to. So if someone contacts you on Fiverr or Upwork or somewhere else directly, even, because they found you on social media and they reached out to you, you send the files to them. So ACX is not the only platform. After you set up your, see, I'm already on tangents and I'm going all over the place. I hope you're following along, but ask your questions if you want to. We'll get to the questions in a minute. I want to make sure I get all this out. After you have your recording space set, then produce a few short demos. I would focus on the genres that you enjoy reading, because that enjoyment, that joy, that's gonna come through naturally in your performance. So if you like reading romantasy, if you like reading history or not documentaries, but what are they? Like biography, memoir, stuff like that, fiction, nonfiction, doesn't matter. Whatever you enjoy reading personally, focus on creating demos that are of the same genre to start. I would have at least three different genres. And then you could also compile those into one demo. So you could have 3 different demos, one of each genre or tone, right? And then have like a demo reel, which is a combination of the 3. And then, as I said before, create little videos for them and post them all over social media. Have a YouTube channel, at the very least, for video storage, right? You don't have to make content if you don't want to, but at least start a YouTube channel so you can store these videos on. It's easier to just copy the YouTube link and share that, right? Or to download the videos, or, just to have them there, just as a side note. I know I'm all over the place, so just ask your questions.